Hey, good morning, everyone. Happy Monday to you, and welcome to another edition of Mindset Monday. I'm Barry Overton coming to you from San Diego, California. Excited about another Monday, excited about this presentation today. This is one that a lot of times when I put these different presentations together, these are areas that I am working on for myself, and they just end up that it's like, okay, what I'm taking from this, I should be sharing this with other people. So that's really where kind of the resource of a lot of the trainings that I come up with, where they start from. And this is one I think that as we get into this and we talk about discipline, you'll realize that discipline is probably the one areas in our life that I don't know that we will ever necessarily master. And the reason I say that is because there's so many different areas that you can desire to have discipline in. I just kind of give you an example. So when I retired from the Denver Police Department roughly about 12 years ago, I was going into business for myself, and I was everything depended on me. I was commission based, and if I didn't make money, there wasn't money just coming in from somewhere. So it required for me to be very disciplined in my daily activities and the things that I was doing. During that time, what I realized is my eating habits, the things that I was doing, health wise were not the best. So then I had to become disciplined on working out. And I also had to become disciplined on my diet, and just all aspects of life. And when I realized, there's so many different areas of discipline. That's why I say that it would be very challenging to master all of these different areas. We're basically really today, we're going to talk more so from a business standpoint, but I want you to think about it as we're going through this. You can apply this to any aspect, of your life in regards to areas of discipline, areas, the bottom line where you just want to get better. Let's see if I can share my screen here and bring up this PowerPoint. All right. So this one is called the Discipline DNA, Building an Unshakable Mindset. Like I said, I don't know that you'll necessarily be able to master it, but being able to put yourself in a position where you're creating, and we're going to talk about three key pillars of creating the consistency, self-control, and resilience. When you can really have a good understanding of how those three components work in discipline, it will at least give you an unshakable mindset that when challenges arise, that when distractions come up, the things that take you off track appear, you're able to get back on track a lot faster. And this is definitely one I would love, as we're going through, whether you put it in the chat, whether you raise your hand and you have something to add, please feel free to share as we're going through. So again, the power of discipline. Discipline is the bridge between, where you're at and everything that you're trying to achieve, the goals, the achievements, the dreams, everything that you want is bridged through discipline and your ability to stay focused on those things. So we're going to be, again, talking from a standpoint of operating with the mindset of the consistency, the self-control, and most importantly, the resilience as you're moving through whatever your goals may be. Let's see. All right. So let's kind of talk about, again, those three pillars and the framework. When we talk about consistency, this is what creates the routine. Some of you probably heard about the 21-day habit. You do something for 21 days consistently, it will become a habit. It will become a routine. It will be abnormal if on the 22nd day, if you didn't do this thing, it would feel weird. And I want you to think, I always give it the the habit of brushing our teeth. Well, this is a habit that however long you've had teeth, that you've done. And you think about it, it's something that is consistently done every day. And if you were to not do it, it would feel weird. It would be odd to not do that. And that's kind of how I want you to look at the habits that you're creating in your business and creating in your life of, having that consistency so much to a point that not doing it would be odd. It would take you off track of what you're supposed to be doing. You're like, oh, okay, I can't not do this. I got to go brush my teeth, or I got to go make these calls, whatever the case may be. And then the self-control. And this one is going to be really unique. This is, again, part of that deep dive I had to take for myself in regards to this is guarding against yes. We are, and I think, when we talk about, the part of the group that I'm with is a Super Agents Collaborative. The key word collaborative. One of the things that is very important to me is that I'm there to help. I'm there to support the people that are in the organization. I'm there to support and help people that are not in my organization, that are part of EXP, and even agents that are with different brokerages. It's just kind of how I'm built. So I tend to say yes a lot. And you can get yourself in trouble when you're saying yes too much. And we're going to talk more about that. So guarding your yes and keeping yourself from getting into distractions because of saying yes. And then the resilience piece. I think, like I said, it's, when we're doing something and from a consistent standpoint, and we're seeing results from it, especially if we're seeing those results immediately, it's easy to keep doing it because we see the results. When we're, having self-control and we're doing the things that we're not taking on additional distractions. We're not putting ourselves in a place of overwhelmed and things of that nature because of the self-control. It's easy to kind of keep moving forward and feel a sense of discipline. But I can tell you, it's those moments where, we're initiating all the things that we're doing, and maybe they're going great, and then all of a sudden we have a small setback, or maybe we have a major setback. And it's through that setback that we start to question everything that we've been doing. And we're going to talk about that. Again, one of my favorite quotes from Willie Jolly is, a setback is a setup for a comeback. And we're going to talk about, wins and losses versus wins and lessons. And how you should approach, setbacks and those things as they come up. So, but let's first just jump into consistency. One of my favorite stories, just in regards to consistency, is Kobe Bryant and the work ethic that he had through his entire life. Especially when at 12 years old, when he made the decision that he wanted to be one of the best basketball players to ever play the game, the work ethic that he put in and the consistency around it. And when you talk to players that either played with him or around him, and you understand the mindset that he had, that no one was going to outwork him when his daily routine started at 4 a.m. I was reading a book where he talked about he started at 4 a.m. because it gave him the opportunity to get 3 workouts in one day. And revive himself, by, the right nutrients and things of that nature, and still come back to the gym and work three workouts per day. And if he started at 6 a.m., he would have only been able to get 2 workouts in because of the process and the routine throughout the course of the day. So that's why he started so early. And he looked at, okay, if I only get 3 workouts and I'm missing 1 workout every day, I'm missing 7 workouts in a week, I'm missing 30 workouts in a month. And you can see Again, his mentality of if I do it this way, I'm gaining this extra, because we've all heard of two-a-days. And there were a lot of people that were basketball players that he was competing against that were doing two-a-days. And he said, you know what? I'm going to do three-a-days because I'm going to just get that much farther ahead of them. And just like brushing his teeth, that became consistent. That work ethic and the ritual that he went through to ensure that he stayed ahead. And the results were obvious. I mean, when he hit the basketball court, he was just that much further ahead of everyone else. So again, it's really just one of those great testaments to consistency. As we dive into the self-control aspect of it, this is again where I think where we really have to think about. We'll first talk about, the yeses and saying yes to different things that come up. I can tell you, some of the distractions that you have are, there are people that I can tell you, I get called to do, whether it's a speaking engagement, whether it's different events, whether it's looking into an investment opportunity or looking into other business ventures. And I've always had the mindset, especially when it's business related, that I don't necessarily say no to opportunities because I don't know what I'm saying no to. And it may be something that down the road would make a lot of sense. But I can also tell you that what I've had to learn to do is I have to ask myself a few questions. And the biggest one is this thing that I'm being asked to take time to look at or take time to do, is it going to take me off track of my goals? Even if it's for, an hour, or that's an hour I could be dedicating to my goals. So I've had to become very conscious of what I'm saying yes to and what I'm saying no to. And one of these, this message by Warren Buffett, again, in regards to writing down your goals, because you think about it, if we look at like our New Year's resolutions and things of that nature, in many instances, this could be a whole laundry list of things. This could be a lot of different things that we have. And how he says to approach it is write down, your top 25 goals, and then find those 5 goals that are the most important that that you cannot do without, being a part of, of your year of what you're pursuing. Circle those 5 and then avoid the other 20 at all costs, because those other 20 are a distraction from the 5. And that, really resonated with me when I understood it, because again, my list of goals and the things that I wanted to be able to achieve, I kind of categorized it as to, some of these are going to be achieved this year. Some of these are going to be achieved in the next 3 years. Some of these are going to be achieved in the next 10 or 20 years, whatever the case may be. And now the key for me is to kind of have on the back burner those things that are 10 or 20 years, but focus on what's going to be achieved this year, number one. And even maybe, one of the next 3 years, but focus on what's going to be achieved this year, because I can't get to the 10, 20-year goal without first getting this 1-year goal. So that's kind of how I've categorized mine in regards to what are those top, 3 to 5 goals for me to be able to focus on. And then once again, now that you have those goals identified, you want to now then put yourself in a position when you're asked or a distraction comes up to be able to determine, is this a goal? Is this something that's coming up that I say yes or no to? Is it going to be a distraction, or is it going to help me to get closer to my goal? And then we have resilience. Another great story in regards to resilience is Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx. And, she went through, countless manufacturers, investors, and, you know, everyone said no. Everyone ridiculed her idea of Spanx, but it was through her determination that this was going to work and this was, going to be a multi-million dollar company. Well, it's turned into a billion-dollar company. And it was through that resilience of, having the passion and believing in what she was doing. And more importantly, taking the losses, so to speak, and turning them into lessons to be able to get better. Because when you can take a loss, turn it into a lesson, it starts to build more wins for you. And that's exactly what she was able to do. And just rejecting the idea of this not being an opportunity to, that she was going to succeed with. So with the just going back to the consistency and kind of the framework of it, one of the things I would say on a daily basis is really finding, number one, you have your goals. So now we're looking at creating the habits to be able to get yourself towards those goals. So let's say we're talking in regards to your business, in regards to your real estate business, whether it's production, whether it's agent attraction, there you have to have, at least one non-negotiable that has to be done on a daily basis, but maybe you have two or three. The one thing I would say about this is when it's non-negotiable, it means it has to be done no matter what else is going on through the day. This is something that has to be done because it moves the needle just a little bit closer towards the goal. So for example, if you're, let's say you're doing spear marketing for your business on your production side of business, and you have a non-negotiable that you have to actually get on the phone and talk to, whether it's 3 people, 5 people, whatever the case may be in your sphere. I would say, 3 to 5 people that you actually talk to, have a conversation with, not a voicemail, not a text message, but you actually have a conversation with, is a pretty, that could be because, if you talk to 5 people, let's say it takes 20-minute conversation, you spent roughly, a little over an hour and a half or so on calls. So if you look at it from a standpoint of, and not every conversation may that's necessarily be 20 minutes, but at the same time, it's going to be an allotment of your time to be able to make those 3 to 5 calls. So that's why you want to make the determination as to, how long that's going to be and how many people you're going to talk to. So again, making that a non-negotiable. But think about it. Let's say it's 3. 3 does not sound like a lot of people, but if you're doing that, let's just say 30 days for the month, you're doing that every day of the month. Well, over the course of 30 days, that's 90 people that you've actually had conversations with. Now, you're still going to be sending out, text messages. You're going to still be sending out your email, newsletters and things of that nature. So you're touching more people than that, but you actually have 90 people in the course of a month that you have had conversations with, where you're reconnecting from a, whatever standpoint. Imagine if those are real estate agents, that you're attracting to EXP. Imagine having 90 conversations every month in your business and how that will, again, amount up. That's over 1,000 people that over the course of a year that you've talked about your real estate business or that you talk about in regards to buying or selling real estate. So the small numbers continue to add up, but you have this non-negotiable number that you're working with. And so for me, and I bring that up because I have 3 is the magic number. And I can tell you, I've played with this number. I've had it at 10 at one time. 10 was way too many. I could do that certain days, but I couldn't do that every day. So that's why I'm saying to create something that's reasonable, that can be done. And once you know that it can be done, it is non-negotiable that you just get it done every day. and then you're committing to that for 30 days. And then you have to have the mindset that there's no 0 days. There's no days where, oh man, I didn't get my 3 in. You get those 3 calls in, if that's what the number is. So challenging yourself. That's why it's non-negotiable. And, because you're challenging yourself to ensure that you do that. And like I said, if you do that for 30 days, at the end of that 30 days, a new month starts. It will feel weird not to do it day one of that new month, because you have created a habit. And whether you see the results from it or not, you're going to feel weird about not doing it. It's like, again, losing weight, a weight loss program. You can do a weight loss program, or you can do a weight regimen where you're trying to gain weight for 30 days, and you may not see any results. But over the course of 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, all of a sudden, when you go back and look at the photos of yourself 6 months ago, you realize, oh man, yeah, there are some results. There is 20 pounds that I've lost in the last 4 months, or whatever the case may be. So don't get caught up in looking at the results in 30 days, but looking at the activity. And we're going to talk about here in just a minute, recognizing the small wins versus, looking at the bigger result. And then let's talk about self-control. Again, this is, identifying those distractions. I can tell you, for me, and some of you may have the same, one distraction. Probably my biggest distraction throughout the course of the day can be social media. And a big part of that is because I utilize social media for my real estate business. So I'm on it. And I try to make it a point, especially in the morning, where I know what I'm going to post. I get in there, I post it, and I get out. And I post to, 3 to 4 different social media platforms. But I can tell you, there's sometimes when you open it up and social media is sending the stuff that interests you to your page. So all of a sudden you open it up and bam, there's something that interests you. And instead of posting what you're supposed to be posting, you're reading an article, or you're watching a video, and then you're scrolling and you get caught into the cycle. So that's one of those areas for me where, again, it can cause a distraction. Another area where you could potentially have a distraction, and it seems like it's a good thing, is when and again, we're in the business where we get calls out of the blue, whether it's from a prospect, whether it's from a client that we're working with. And it's the business of real estate. It's the thing that we're in. So it seems like, okay, well, this is just a part of the daily business. And it can take you off on a tangent where now you have this, you were focused for this next hour that you were going to be making those 3 to 5 calls, or whatever the case may be. You have a client that calls, and there's something going on the deal that requires your attention. Sometimes it has to be right now, but in most cases, it can be, an hour from now, and you can focus on what it is that you're actually supposed to be doing in that moment. So we have to be able to, realize those distractions and kind of prioritize, even though the client obviously is a priority. Is this going to take me off of what I'm supposed to be doing in this moment? Because something else will come up in the next hour that, again, I keep putting the thing that I'm supposed to be doing right now, the non-negotiable, I keep putting it on the back burner because I'm prioritizing everything else. So we have to be able to recognize that, even, in those instances where it seems like, okay, well, this is what I'm looking for in my business, is to have more real estate, related activity. But realizing that it's taking you off of, what that non-negotiable may be. And then also tying every decision to, the long-term vision or the long-term goal. This is one, like I said, where, again, I get calls for other business-related opportunities. I get calls for things that are connected to real estate. that people want me to take a look at. I get calls to, to provide training, to do different things. And I have to evaluate, okay, is this connected to my long-term goal, or is this something that's going to, distract me and kind of carry me off the path of what my long-term goal is? So always evaluating as you're going through those things. And then the resilience aspect, again, we have to look at, again, Willie Jolly, like I said, his quote of a setback is a setup for a comeback. I say that often because in the moments of a setback, I have to remind myself, okay, this is setting me up for something bigger. I don't know what it is yet. I don't know how I'm going to navigate this just yet, but I have to know and realize that this setback is only that, a setback, and it's a setup for something much bigger ahead. And then, like I said, you can take wins and losses, or you can take wins and lessons. I think that every challenge that we come across, every failure that we experience, there's a lesson to be learned from that. And, I always go back to Thomas Edison when he created the incandescent light bulb, and it was said that, he failed 10,000 times. And, I don't know if this is an actual quote of his, but someone was said to, how did it feel to fail 10,000 times? And he said, I didn't fail 10,000 times. I just found 10,000 ways not to make the light bulb. So I was able to exclude that from any other experiments that we tried. And that's how we have to kind of look at the things that don't work in our business is, okay, I just figured out what doesn't work. Let me take that off the table. Or let me tweak it to where it does work. And then the development of a emotional reset with techniques. I can tell you there's certain setbacks, especially you have a deal that you're a week from closing, and all of a sudden something happens with the loan, or something happens where the buyer or the client has a change of heart, or whatever the case may be. That can be a huge setback, and depending on where your business is, if you were counting on this deal, that could be just a devastating setback, and emotions will be involved. Your emotions will be involved in regards to how you navigate, through the steps of that. And so realizing that, emotions are going to be, come to play a part, but we have to be able to recognize those negative emotions that we have, and then how they're going to, number one, physically affect us. Have you ever had, a bad situation happen? You get that lump in your throat, you get the racing heart. And again, it has a physical effect on you, but then it also has the psychological effect on you. You start to question yourself, doubt. There may be anger, there may be sadness, there may be all these different things that can stifle you moving forward. So being able to, practice the breathing work and the visualization that this is going, once again, this is a setback and there's a setup for a comeback. So it's something that's setting you up for something bigger. Perfect example of this, when we just sold our house in Denver. We went under contract in 7 days. The buyer was a pilot for one of the big airlines. Wasn't really happy with the terms that we came to an agreement on. But they weren't bad. They were decent, but they could have been better. And within about 6-7 days of being under contract, prior to the inspection objection or inspection termination, he terminated. And supposedly it was something going on within the family that he had to terminate. Well, that was a setback because we were aligning everything to be able to move to San Diego based off of the terms that he created, and he was moving us out of our house a lot faster than what we wanted to be. Well, I looked at it as, okay, this allows us to kind of slow things down, find another deal, get under contract. 2 days later, the best deal that we could have asked for came along. So much to the point, the buyers of our house have become friends of ours now. And it was just a perfect deal. So again, it was a setback on that first deal that set us up for a tremendous comeback to be in a much better place. And I reminded myself of that. And it's almost like I willed it into existence of just knowing, okay, something better is coming. So again, being able to create that type of mindset for yourself. All right. I know we're a little over. We're coming right to the end here. So this is, again, I want you to just start with 7 days. For this next week, we're at Mindset Monday. So perfect day to start this. Again, finding that keystone habit, that one negotiable, non-negotiable that you have to get done every day. Figure out what that is in your business. Saying no to the distractions, understanding that, if it doesn't fit what it is that you're trying to, your goal, what you're trying to accomplish, then it's probably a distraction. It doesn't mean to not address it at all, but don't allow it to get in front of, the non-negotiable and the other aspects of your goal. And then document the one lesson from the challenges faced. And the reason I love this is because once you document it, a challenge like that comes up again, you already know how to deal with it because you dealt with it in the past. I just want to check the chat real quick. All right. Yeah, I like all of these things. So good feedback there. Any questions, any thoughts around any of this? All right, let me see. I'll put that slide back up for you. Claire, there you go. Oh, yeah. All right. Okay, so that again, that this is the lesson that came to me over discipline, and a reminder for me over some of the things that I do in my business. I hope this was helpful to each of you today, and looking forward to hearing how you apply these and what you're doing in your daily business. All right, thank you so much. You guys have a great rest of your day. Take care.
If you'd like more information or to get connected to the Agent Power Huddle, join our free Facebook group. This call was designed for the agents in our EXP organization, but open to any agent from any brokerage. If you're a guest and you're interested in learning more about EXP or our specific resources within the Agent Collective, reach out to the person who invited you to this call to get more info. Produced by the Agent Collective Media Network.